The city bus rattled along a cold afternoon route, windows fogged with the breath of passengers. Inside, the air was filled with chatter and the squeak of worn tires against the street. People of all kinds packed the seats and aisles. There were tired office workers clutching briefcases, mothers soothing restless children, and a group of teenagers, loud, confident, and full of energy, huddled together near the back. Among them sat an old man. His silver hair was thin and messy, his face lined with deep wrinkles that spoke of years lived quietly but fully. He wore a faded jacket covered with old military patches that looked like they had traveled decades and miles. He kept to himself, sitting alone near the window, his hands resting calmly in his lap. The teenagers spotted him almost immediately. One nudged another, whispering in a tone just loud enough to carry. "Look at that crazy old vet," one said, a smirk twisting his lips. Another laughed softly. "Bet he tells those war stories all the time, like he's some hero." Their words bounced quietly through the bus, making a few passengers glance up. Some frowned at the disrespect, others looked away, uncomfortable or unsure if they should intervene. The old man didn't respond. Instead, his eyes stared out the window, steady and deep, like they held secrets the noisy teens could never understand. Though he seemed fragile and forgotten, there was something about his quiet presence that made the bus feel heavier, like the past was waiting patiently for the right moment to be heard. One teenager stood out among the group, a tall boy with a cocky grin and a voice that cut through the bus's chatter like a knife. His name was Jake. He loved the attention and wasn't shy about making sure everyone noticed him. His eyes locked on the old man with a mocking sparkle. "Hey Grandpa," Jake shouted, loud enough for the whole bus to hear. "You really think anyone here believes your crazy war stories? Bet you're just making it all up. Probably didn't even see a single battle, just some old war faker trying to get attention." His words rippled through the teens who burst into loud laughter. Some of the other passengers shifted uncomfortably in their seats. A woman near the front frowned and clutched her purse tighter. A man in a suit looked away, pretending not to hear. No one said anything. The old man didn't flinch. His eyes stayed calm but heavy, like someone carrying a secret burden. He said nothing as Jake went on, pushing harder. "Seriously man, how old are you? 100? You probably forgot what really happened decades ago. Maybe your mind's gone." Jake sneered, enjoying the power he held over the quiet man. "You're just a crazy old man with stories no one cares about." The bus grew quieter, tension thick in the air. Some passengers glanced at each other, unsure if they should step in. But Jake's voice was loud, and no one dared to challenge him. The old man finally shifted in his seat, a slow, measured movement. His hands clenched briefly before relaxing again. He looked at Jake, not with anger, but with a tired sadness, as if he had faced this kind of disrespect many times before. Jake smirked, sure he had won. The other teens cheered and egged him on, still laughing. But deep down, a strange feeling spread through the bus, a feeling that something important was about to happen, something no one expected. The old man's hands rested on his knees, fingers tightening slowly as he gathered himself. Then, with surprising strength, he rose from his seat. His body looked frail, bent slightly with age, but his movements were steady and deliberate. The chatter on the bus began to fade, replaced by an uneasy silence. He looked directly at Jake, his eyes calm but firm. "Son," he said quietly, his voice steady and clear, "I'm not here to argue or cause trouble, but I do ask for one thing: respect." Jake's smirk grew wider, his confidence untouched. He leaned back against the seat, crossing his arms as if daring the old man to do more. "Respect? For what? Your crazy stories, your war medals?" The bus held its breath. The other passengers exchanged glances, sensing the moment was about to change. The old man reached inside his worn jacket. Slowly, deliberately, he pulled out something shiny. The gleam caught the weak light filtering through the windows, drawing every eye toward him. The teenagers stopped laughing, their faces shifting from amusement to surprise. Whispers started to ripple through the bus. The old man held the object carefully. A medal. It wasn't just any medal, but a polished, bright military honor that reflected years of sacrifice and bravery. The bus grew quieter still, as if time itself had slowed. Everyone was watching, waiting for the story that the old man was about to tell. The air was thick with suspense, and even Jake's smug expression faltered, caught off guard by the unexpected turn. The old man held the medal gently in his hands, turning it slowly so the light caught every detail. It was round, shining bright, despite the worn ribbon attached to it. The edges were polished smooth from years of being handled, and in the center, a small engraving told a story no one on the bus could ignore. "This," the old man began, voice soft but strong, "is the Silver Star. It's one of the highest honors a soldier can receive for bravery. I earned this during a battle no one here would ever want to see." He paused, looking around the bus, meeting the eyes of those watching. The teens, once full of laughter, were now silent, some wide-eyed, others quiet, almost reverent. That day, my squad was surrounded. We were outnumbered, outgunned, but we held our ground, not for glory, but because we promised to protect each other. His voice cracked slightly. I lost many good friends that day, men who never made it home. This medal isn't about me. It's about their courage, their sacrifice. And the pain that never leaves. Jake's smirk disappeared, his jaw tightened, and his eyes dropped to the floor. The room felt heavy, the weight of the story settling on every shoulder. A few passengers blinked back tears, caught off guard by the quiet dignity and sorrow behind the old man's words. The arrogant teenager swallowed hard, his confident posture folding into something small, unsure. The laughter and mocking vanished, replaced by a deep shame he couldn't shake. For the first time the bus wasn't just a place of noise and rush, it was a place where a life story was shared raw and real. The old man's medal wasn't just a piece of metal, it was a symbol of honor, sacrifice and a history that demanded respect. The old man's voice grew softer but no less steady as he continued. "This medal," he said, "it's not just about pride or honor, it's a reminder of the cost of war, what it takes from those who fight, and those who wait at home." He looked down at the medal again, his fingers tracing the edges gently. "It's a memory of friends who didn't come back. Good men who laughed, dreamed and loved, just like anyone else, but they gave everything so others could live." He paused, and for a moment the only sound was the quiet hum of the bus engine. His eyes glistened with a distant sadness, as if those memories were right there beside him. Sometimes people forget that behind medals like this are real lives, real pain. Jake sat frozen, the tough mask slipping away. His gaze shifted from the floor to the old man's face, the weight of the story sinking deep inside him. He swallowed, unsure of what to say, his usual confidence replaced by something raw and new. The other teens shifted quietly, the laughter long gone. Around the bus, passengers showed their feelings in small respectful ways. A woman near the front nodded slowly, eyes shining with tears she quickly wiped away. A young mother held her child a little closer. Even the man in the suit, who had looked away before, now watched intently, clearly moved by the old man's words. After a long silence, Jake finally spoke. His voice was soft, almost breaking. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disrespect you, I didn't know." His eyes met the old man's filled with shame and regret. The old man's face softened into a gentle smile. "Thank you," he said quietly. "It takes courage to admit when we're wrong. That means more than you know." The bus seemed to breathe again, the heavy tension lifting. In that moment, respect and understanding filled the space where mockery once lived. It was a quiet, powerful reminder that sometimes the bravest thing is to listen and learn. After a moment of silence, the old man looked at Jake with kind eyes. "What about you, son? What's your story?" Jake shifted uncomfortably in his seat. For once the confident teenager seemed unsure. He glanced around, then lowered his voice. "My grandpa. He was a soldier too, fought in a war, but he never talked about it. Not once. It's like he buried all those memories deep inside." The old man nodded slowly, a gentle smile spreading across his face. "That's how many of us are," he said softly. Veterans carry their stories quietly, sometimes even from the people they love the most. Some memories are too heavy to share. Jake looked down at his hands, then back up at the old man. "I guess I never really understood what that meant before. I just thought, maybe it wasn't real, Or maybe it didn't matter. It matters, the old man said firmly. Every story matters. And every person who lived it deserves respect. For a few moments, the bus was filled only with the soft sounds of the engine and the occasional rustle of clothing. Between Jake and the old man, something unspoken passed, a quiet bond formed from shared history, even if separated by time and experience. As the bus approached Jake's stop, the old man gave him a small nod, like a silent promise that this wasn't the end of their story. Jake stood, holding the medal carefully now, a new respect shining in his eyes. The bus doors opened, and the old man stepped off, disappearing into the crowd. But the connection lingered in the air, a reminder that sometimes the greatest lessons come when we least expect them, and from the people we least expect to teach them. As the old man stepped off the bus, the teenagers fell silent. Jake stayed seated for a moment longer, staring at the medal in his hands. His earlier arrogance felt like a heavy weight pressing down on his chest. He thought about the words he had said, the disrespect he had shown, shame mixed with something new, hope. Hope that he could learn, grow, and understand more. Around him, other passengers quietly watched the old man leave. Some nodded in respect, others exchanged knowing glances. The bus seemed different now, filled with a calm that hadn't been there before. It was as if everyone had been reminded that behind every quiet face, there is a story worth hearing, worth honoring. Jake turned the medal over carefully, feeling its cool weight. He didn't fully understand everything yet, but something inside him had changed. Maybe this was the beginning of learning about sacrifice, about courage, about the lives that shaped the world in ways most people never see. The bus moved forward again, but the lesson stayed with him, and with everyone who had witnessed this unexpected moment. Respect isn't just about words. It's about listening. It's about humility. It's about recognizing the hidden battles and silent stories carried by those around us. So next time you see someone who seems forgotten or invisible, ask yourself, what story are they carrying? What honor lies behind their quiet eyes? And do you have the courage to listen? Because sometimes the greatest lessons come not from loud voices, but from the silent bravery of those who have walked through fire, and lived to remind us why we should never forget.